Welcome to today's episode. We are chatting all about redefining success, creating better goals, and a more satisfying life. Thanks for joining, and I'll see you on the other side. Welcome to Float Activity, a place to inspire and empower beings to embrace self-love and self-development for an achievable balance of productivity. I share different ways to come back to your intuition through spirituality, self-care, human design, cycle planning, wellness, and everything in between. Thank you so much for joining me this week. If this is your first time, welcome. And if you've been here with me before, thank you so much for coming back. I'm so excited to join you in this journey as we learn together. Welcome to today's episode. We are diving into redefining success, creating better goals, and a more satisfying life. I have been wanting to do an episode like this for quite some time. As someone who has been in that hustle mentality for a lot of my life, I started doing my New Year's resolution a little bit differently. And this was a suggestion from my sister-in-law. She had kind of encouraged some of us to define our goals a little differently. And so I wanted to bring an episode about it. And so here we go. Success needs to be a definition that means something different to you. Everybody's version of success should be different from someone else's. And so I find this a hard thing to do because we all have these conditioning circumstances with schooling and relatives and parents and siblings that all give us a different version of success. And so how I started to redo my goals really helped me figure out what success truly means to me. I want to change the idea of goal planning because it can get a reputation for being all business and no play. But the truth is, adding creativity to your goal setting process can open the door to bigger dreams and desires than you could ever imagine. And I can really attest to that because when I started this journey, I was like still in hustle mode, even though I found the spiritual piece of understanding my body. I was having a hard time merging the two together. And so setting time for reflection in your goal planning process is vital to ensure that you're consistent and that you're enjoying the journey of getting closer to your version of success. It's creating those little micro habits so you can remain focused on achieving your goals while having fun along the way. I've always talked about rituals and habits, having something in the morning and having something at night to really be able to have a few minutes to connect with yourself is really important. And if you don't do it daily, please make it a weekly habit if you can't do it daily, because it is essential to be able to connect with yourself to make sure it feels good to you in the process. So we're going to start with creating your own words for the year. And I just want to mention that I have this whole process in my Float Activity 2023 planner. It has been such a big piece of how I start my year and really getting clear on my desires. And so I knew it had to be in this year's 2023 digital planner. And so, create your own words for the year. Having a few words or phrases to remind you of your goals will help you keep focused and motivated. These words should reflect your own personal values and passions. Write them down somewhere where you can see them every day. Post-it note, vision board, on your phone. It will just give you something to refer back to when you feel lost, overwhelmed, unmotivated, to see if, even though you're not maybe progressively working towards your goals, are you still feeling good in that process? So there's 5 areas within your life that I think are important in assessing your goals. And so number 1 is lifestyle. That is home, that is work, and that is travel. The next one is wellness. That is movement, mental health, self-care, and nutrition. The third one is creativity and development, and that is your learning, your hobbies, and your interests. Number 4 is your relationships and community. So that's your partners, your family, your friendships. And the last one, number 5, is spirituality. That is your relationship with yourself, your faith, your soul, and God. What I suggest to do for each of those areas is to write 10 emotions or feelings that would describe what you want in that area of life. And narrow it down to one emotion or feeling, and then make a toolkit so that you can refer back to it to bring more of that energy or feeling in your life. I can attest that a goal does not feel like you've accomplished something until you feel it in the process. You're not going to feel that way at the end. You need to feel that way in the process. And so creating that, like I said, ritual or routine to be able to connect with yourself, look at that word, see if it's aligned with what you're trying to create. Once you narrow it down to that one word for each of those areas of life, you're going to want to start with micro habits. So some examples of feelings and energy that you want to pick for each areas of those life are things like empowering, refined, divine, feminine, masculine, leadership, success, wealth, creativity, trusting, inspiring, passionate, motivated, grounded, loyal, fierce, captivating, security, love, peace, fun, and simple. Feel free to really think about what speaks to you and think about what you can do to embody these feelings or energy so that you can really harness this energy into 2023. A big reason why no one sticks to their goals right after the new year is because it's overwhelming. So I encourage you to start small. Think of a small little micro habit that you can connect with yourself. You can say, okay, in my lifestyle, I want to create more joy. What micro habit can I do each day to get a little bit of joy in that area of life? And so those tiny actions only need to take a few minutes, a few seconds at that, and they lead to huge impact in your long-term achieving goals. So for example, if your goal is to read more books this year, start reading 1 page per day instead of trying to tackle an entire book immediately. If you want to take up running, but you don't know where to begin, start by taking a 5-minute walk around the block each day before you increase the duration and intensity over time. The next piece is to replace bad habits with good ones. So for example, picking up my phone first thing in the morning was something that I saw in my own life that I needed to replace. And so that mindless scrolling was a bad habit. It was getting in the way of reaching my goals. And so I replaced it with something more productive. And that is doing my Tibetan rites. It's the first thing I do in the morning. It moves my body. I have affirmations. And when I pick up my phone throughout the day, I try to remember to go step outside. So even if I'm going to look at my phone, I'm trying to incorporate some fresh air with it. So just take a few minutes and replace or kind of stack that habit with something good versus something bad. To wrap up this short episode, everyone has their unique definition of success that fits their values and their passions. Staying motivated throughout the year can be challenging without that specific steps in place to keep us on track. So I encourage you to create words instead of big goals. And that way, when you're working towards those goals, you can make sure that you're aligned with what you're trying to bring into your life. I do all these things with using my digital planner. It's really helped me. There's a habit tracker in there. There is a way to create goals. There is a way to create your 2023 words of the year. For me, it's having all these things in one place so I don't feel overwhelmed with, oh, my journal's there, my planner's there. I can pick and choose what's fitting me in that moment versus trying to fit myself in a planner box. And so I am creating that for myself, and I hope it helps other people by creating these rituals, these habits, to create a better, more fulfilled life. So thank you so much for joining me this week. If this was your first time, welcome. And if you've joined me for previous episodes, thank you so much for coming back. I would love if you could share this episode with a friend. Those seconds make a huge impact on my podcast, and I would be so grateful. If you want to learn more about this episode and all the resources mentioned, check the show notes, and we will chat soon.